Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Combating Cancer. My name is Gwen Kelly, and I'm your host. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I just want to say a huge welcome and thank you so much for being here. Whether you stumbled upon this podcast by accident or someone recommended it to you, I truly believe you're here for a reason. I'm so glad you're joining this community, and I hope you leave today feeling encouraged, hopeful, and a little less alone. For anyone new here, I was diagnosed with stage 3 astrocytoma brain cancer when I was just 19 years old. And this podcast, Combating Cancer, was born from a desire to create a safe space for people like me, for those in active treatment, in remission, or grieving the loss of a loved one. Because cancer doesn't just affect the person diagnosed, it affects everyone around them. And I believe that sharing our stories helps heal us, helps connect us, and reminds us that we're stronger together. So today's episode is a special one. It's my scan update. If you follow me on my social media, you might have already seen the post, but I really wanted to talk through it here with you guys because this isn't just about what the doctors said. It's about the emotional and the spiritual journey behind it. Before we get into everything, let me start by saying this. All glory to God because He is so good. I have amazing news to share. Last month, a lesion that showed up on my MRI measured around 6 millimeters, and in my most recent scan, it's now down to about 1.3 millimeters. You guys, that is absolutely incredible. When I saw the comparison between last month's scan and this one, you could barely even see the spot. It's almost gone. My doctors presented my case to the tumor board, and they all agreed that it looks like it could be radiation scarring or maybe even something related to my migraines, especially with the weather changes we've been having. As you know, in Minnesota, the weather's always up and down. They can't say with 100% certainty what caused it, but what they are certain of is that it's not a tumor. Now, I want to be really transparent about something because as amazing as that news is, this last month wasn't easy. Waiting for the scan was mentally one of the hardest things I've gone through. Normally, I get my MRIs every 90 days, and I'm pretty used to the rhythm of it, well, as used to it as I can be. But after finding that new spot last month, everything came sooner than expected, and mentally, I wasn't prepared for that. That was also the first time I'd received what felt like bad news since my original diagnosis, and honestly, I had a complete breakdown. I released an episode around that time about not falling into a victim mindset, about choosing to fight instead of letting fear take control. And even though I believe in everything I said in that episode, I'll be honest, I don't always follow my own advice. A few weeks ago, I was venting to my boyfriend about how scared I was, how I couldn't stop thinking about my upcoming scan, and he said something that made me laugh and also think. He said, "There's this really amazing person I follow who posts about cancer and mindset. She's so open and real, you should check her out." So, of course, I said, "Oh, who is it?" And he goes, "It's Gwen Kelly." And I just had to sit there and laugh because he was right. I needed to take my own advice. That was a wake-up call for me. I realized I couldn't just talk about hope and mindset, I had to live it. So I decided that no matter what the results said, I wasn't going to let fear steal another minute of my life. If the scans were bad, I'd still fight, I'd still laugh, I'd still love because no matter what, I wasn't going to let cancer define how I lived my days. And that decision changed everything for me. Over the past month, I've made gratitude and faith my daily priorities. I grew up Christian, my parents took us to church every Sunday, we went to Bible camps every summer. But I didn't really develop my own personal relationship with God until my diagnosis. People often ask if I only turned to God because I got sick. And honestly, at first, I'd say yeah. When someone we love gets sick, our first instinct is to pray, "God, please heal them, please get them through this." But often, that's the only time we talk to Him, or at least for me, that was the only time I was talking to Him. This month, I made it a priority to talk to God every single day. Not just to ask for things, but to thank Him. I started doing Bible studies again, reading scriptures daily, and attending church every Sunday. And something really beautiful happened. Some of my friends who aren't even believers started coming with me. A few of them even accepted Christ into their lives, and it's been so amazing to watch God work through all of this. Even though this waiting period could have been filled with fear and anxiety, it was instead filled with peace, comfort, and community. I truly felt God wrapping His arms around me. I also want to take a second to thank all of you who have reached out to me. The texts, the prayers, the messages, the scriptures you've sent, they've meant the world to me. You guys have no idea how much your words have lifted me up. Now, if you've been following my story from the beginning, you know I actually found out about my original cancer diagnosis through my online patient portal. So ever since then, every time I get a scan, that temptation to check the result early is so strong. This time, my dad was practically begging me, please don't look, Gwen, just wait for the doctors to tell you. And I promised I wouldn't, but I'll admit I wasn't sure if I could keep that promise. A few days before my scan, I went on a little girls' trip with my friends to distract myself, and I told my roommate I was struggling not to check. She looked at me and she said something that honestly stopped me in my tracks. She said, if you have the willpower not to go through someone's phone, then you have the willpower not to check your scan results. And she was so right. So I made that commitment. No matter what, I would wait. And then, in one of those beautiful little moments that I like to call God's timing, my doctors actually called my dad and said that they could go over my results right after the scan. I wouldn't have to wait overnight at all. It felt like God was saying, see, I've got you. You just got to trust me. And when the doctors told me that the lesion had shrunk, I just sat there in silence. My dad was crying tears of joy, and I was just soaking in the moment. Sometimes words can't describe the relief you feel. And that was one of those times, even though I didn't really show it. And here's the thing, even though my doctors want me back in 30 days instead of 90, I'm okay with that. Normally, that would stress me out, but now my mindset is completely different. Instead of dreading the countdown, I see it as 30 days to live with purpose, 30 days to laugh, to love, to make memories, and to live. Since being diagnosed at 19 and now being 23, this is the first time I can honestly say that the constant anxiety doesn't rule me anymore. I still have moments of fear, but they pass quickly because my trust is in something greater than myself. And that freedom, oh man, it's everything. I also just want to take a moment to shout out my friends, my boyfriend, and my family. You guys have been my rock. You've shown up for me in every way possible. You've supported me, prayed with me, distracted me, made me laugh, and helped me keep moving forward. To anyone listening who's walking beside someone with cancer, please know how much your support means. Even when we don't say it out loud, you are the reason we're able to stay strong. You're the ones that hold us up when we feel like we're falling down. So as of now, I'm just taking it each day as it comes, living my life, trusting God, and thanking Him for every single breath, every single blessing, and every moment. I've got 30 days until my next scans, and I plan to fill them with joy and laughter. So that is it for today's episode of Combating Cancer. Thank you so much for tuning in and being part of this journey. Please share this message with anyone who might need some extra encouragement today. And as always, if you or someone you know want to share your story or have a business inquiry that aligns with our mission, my door is always open. You can find me on all social media platforms at Combating Cancer. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you back here next Wednesday. Until then, stay strong, and remember, the power of prayer truly works.